I call the member for Fisher.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Speaker. On my tour to Fisher just a few weeks ago, I spoke with local community icon Deb from Witter in the northwest of my electorate. Deb has struggled to find aged care service providers to deliver some of the most essential services: house maintenance, healthcare and personal support, transport and community engagement. These are vital services which are becoming increasingly more difficult to access, especially if you live in regional or rural Australia. And the solution is not just simply pouring more money into it, like Labor would continue to spout. The public sector, with billions of dollars invested into social care, cannot meet the demands of senior Australians. We rely on a vast array of small and medium enterprises committed to quality care and localised support. I think of small businesses in my electorate like Home Care Assistance Sunshine Coast in Caloundra. I think of service providers like Glasshouse Country Care in Biwa, who were recently named finalists in the Fisher Community Awards. A big shout out here to Kath Walwork, finalist for Employee of the Year, who is making a huge difference to the lives of vulnerable seniors in the hinterland of Fisher. These are groups of talented, hard-working, compassionate people operating local services which make an enormous difference to the lives of senior Australians. And they deserve a government who has their back, not just with words, but with action. They deserve a government who gets on with the job of slashing red tape, ensuring that quality of outcomes, not endless paper pushing, that those things are front and centre. We did that in government by allowing social care enterprises to start, grow and expand across the country. They deserve a government who believes in addressing the real cost of living drivers, ensuring that both companies and clients can meet their expenses without fear of not having enough. That means cutting taxes on essentials like fuel, even as a temporary measure. That means simplifying our tax system without dithering, because Australians ought to keep more of their hard-earned money. It means allowing pensioners and veterans the ability to earn more before their support payments are impacted. That means making it easier for primary producers to grow, sell and transport local produce. That means ensuring reliable and affordable power. It means putting Australians' families first and their businesses at the centre of decision-making, not the unions. And that's the issue. Mr Deputy Speaker, one of the greatest challenges that Australians, particularly in rural and regional Australia, are dealing with, senior Australians under the aged care home packages and also with NDIS, is that people in rural and regional Australia are having great difficulties in finding service deliverers. And this is, I'm not going to stand here and say, you know, the world's gone to custard since May of this year on this point. But these are issues that people, particularly in the bush and in the regions, are pulling their hair out. They are entitled to get support, they've been assessed for support, but they just can't find the people to deliver those services. It is an invidious problem because companies, the businesses that provide these supports will perhaps understandably want to go where the populations are, and that is understandable. But even in regional areas like parts of my electorate in Fisher, like out at Conondale, like in Mullaney, like at Witter, it's very difficult to try and get businesses that are operating on the coast quite happily to travel out and provide those services in the more regional areas. And that problem is amplified by, you know, a million when we start talking about people, you know, who are really in the bush. Kids who are on NDIS plans who can't get support. When I was on the NDIS committee in the previous couple of parliaments, this was a real issue, and it's something that government and the opposition really need to work together on to assist families who just can't get those sort of support services for their loved ones, and I'd be happy to work with the government on that point.
I thank the member.